So, until now, you have seen me show up very often making a video every now and then, right? But it doesn't end there. I'm very much interested in doing a podcast, but I have no idea how it is done. Where you don't get to see me, but you just get to listen me speak. How good is that? So today, because it's weekend, I will not be making a video. But I don't know, my brain is making me so restless. As I told you, I've been very intuitive from last 1 month about something that's going to happen within these 3 months, before December probably. It's something good. It'll totally change my life, I believe, which means something good. And when something good happens to me, definitely it's going to do much better for others as well, because if it is meant to be good for me, when it is good, definitely it'll give me more freedom and more access and affordability and all sorts of things. That's what I look forward to. And when I get all those things, you know what I will be doing with that? I'll be doing something good for others as well. So it's a win-win situation if the intuition works this time. And the period time that I put is till say 2022 end. Okay, so as I said, my brain is leaving me very restless because of the intuition. It brings a lot of joy from within, ripples of it, and it keeps me very happy all the day. Kind of a feeling of being blessed, and you know what I'm trying to explain. So what happens is that I don't know what to do. So when I knew I'm not going to make a video, I'm like, what else can I do? So I came up with the idea. Anyway, I do something in the chamber. Usually what I do is text or write down something, type it out, whatever I'm reading. So the red material is usually typed out. Okay, so instead of doing that, I can as well read it out because I love reading. When I was small, I would just wait for my turn when the teacher would just call my name, and because I love reading, both Hindi and English. I love reading, and some teachers had the habit of making each student read it aloud, a paragraph of the lesson probably. And so it starts from the first one in the row, and it just keeps going to the next one and to the next one. And so we just anxiously wait if not our turn would ever come, so that we could read, because I desperately wanted to read. So that's a story, okay? And the love for reading has never faded with time. Now I'm 46, but it's still the same. So let's read something. Why all the time? Is it very important that you text it out or you type it out? No. This is much better. Let's see how we can then share it somewhere. And if I can do it, then we will make this a habit on weekends, because I get bored doing the same thing over and again. From so long, I have not written a story now, because it's not that there is no story in my head. Of course, there is a story in my head, but the thing is that I took a break when I started making the thoughts video, and kept away from that for a while. So because it's all a lot of your brain work, So if you are putting your brain into something somewhere else, you again have to put it in writing the story. That means it takes a lot of your brain work, and not just brain work. It means it's very time consuming, you see. So the day doesn't give you enough time to do both of it. So that's the reason I have not written a story. In fact, there are times when the characters of my story, the next story just pops in and reminds me that you were supposed to bring us alive and you've not done it. Even the title, the characters of the story just shows up from nowhere and keeps reminding me that you have to do this, write a story. Keeps telling me, because there are many stories which again have to be written, many characters which are there in my mind. I can only compare it with R.K. Lakshman, who was a cartoonist in India, and he used to say, there are so many days when I decide I will not do a cartoon today. But then by morning when I wake up, there is a character which has taken so much of space in my head or in my heart from what I have just seen the previous day or the previous week. Probably just comes up and shows up, and the character wants to be brought alive, and it can be done only the way I can do is only by doing a cartoon. And then I have decided not to do a cartoon, but just I end up doing a cartoon. How's that? So that's something similar like that what happens to me. I decided the weekend is going to be very different and I'm going to sit idle and do nothing, but it's not allowing. So the stories that I write usually are written mostly because those characters which I just show in my stories want me to do it. They want me to do it. It's not that I want to write a story, it's not like that. But the characters want me to bring them alive, and I just cannot disappoint with them, no? So that's the reason I write story. So from a while there are so many characters insisting that they need to be brought alive because they are wanting to be written and to be known to the world perhaps, and so because of that I have so many stories which I've just kept on pending, because if I write a story probably for 2 days I will not be able to do a thoughts video. That's how it is. I don't know why it is like that. It's like that. So let's read something. It's going to be interesting. So as I started today to thinking of what I can read and do in the chamber, I came up with this actually, and I wanted to write something on creativity because I started the morning. Now the chamber activity I started by looking into some cards and some quotes and sharing my views on that. All that gives me so much of pleasure because it's all a little of creativity. So I was thinking, what can we do right in the morning to bring us alive? In the sense, as I keep mentioning this, because for me personally it's very important that I do something that brings me alive right from the morning, especially because we have so many tasks that we do which are monotonous, which is done again and again every day. And not just that, there's a lot of space for boredom in life. Many things that we do can leave us bored. I don't know for what reason. Maybe if there many times I thought about it, what if I was getting a 9-to-5 job somewhere and I had to just sit there and do my work? Will it be comfortable for me? Would I prefer that than the kind of things that I have been doing these days? And you won't believe it, from very long I have never liked that thought of doing a job which is 9-to-5 kind of job. You go there, you pull the chair, sit there, do your computer work and so on. I'm just giving my personal view. I'm not trying to compare myself with anybody else. The thing is that people are generally they have this feeling that if somebody does something in some way, and if I'm doing it differently, and if we are sharing our views on how and what kind of things that we prefer in life, we suddenly get a kind of we get hurt listening to that, and it's something very wrong. See, people can have different views, and I believe that it's your view. You like doing something some way, and I like it doing some other way. What is there to get hurt about? I mean, why do you feel inferior or superior by listening to that? We don't have to. So when I say I cannot imagine taking up a job which is 9 to 5 and just sitting there and doing stuff, where you have very less of freedom, and we have to get things done definitely anywhere in life. It is always hard work. We need to work wherever it is. But would you like that kind of work, or would you like the kind of things that you have been doing? And I would definitely say all these things that I've been doing, I like it because I like a lot of freedom in life. Whether it is work and your personal life, freedom is very, very important in any area of life. So when you take up a job, if you don't have freedom to move around, if you don't have if you are like chained to a chair and you just have to be sitting there and doing the stuff, and then I just cannot do that. And I also prefer my own space. There are so many things, you can say those are my flaws or weaknesses, but I'm very particular about the kind of job that I would take up and be doing. So somebody once told me that if you are so choosy about what kind of job you do, you better start your own business or you do your own job, because you cannot work for somebody else. Because when you work for somebody else, they will have their own rules and you have to stick to some of those rules. You cannot have it your way, all the things, right? So that's about it. So let's talk about creativity, because creativity helps a lot in starting the day right. And if you feel things are not going well, you can just shake yourself up out of it. The boredom or the stiffness that you have, you can just overcome all that through creativity. Okay, so that's the topic I picked in the morning today in the chamber. So instead of typing out, we just read it out and we just put it through. So it's one and the same thing. How different is it? This is much easier and this is more interesting. And because you need change in life, whenever there is change, it feels good. Everything, see, your room is set in one way. After a while you get bored looking at the room with the same settings. You would rather have it in a different way, so you can as well change it to some other way. It feels much better, isn't it? So the same way you have been doing things in one way, you change the order of doing it, or include some other things in that. It brings a lot of pleasure. It brings a lot of novelty, as you can say, in your schedule, and that makes a lot of difference. So this is a different way of doing it. The same things you've been reading it out and copy and paste and then texting or typing, whatever you call that. Now we do it differently. We just read it out. So it's one and the same thing, because I love reading. I love it. So what is creativity and why is it important in everyday life? This article. Did you know that creativity is one of the most important qualities that a person can have? I always knew it. I knew that there's no substitute for creativity. There isn't. Because one thing that I've always noticed when it is about creativity is that you are kind of deriving some pleasure or some sense of contentment or some peace out of what you're doing. If there is a little of creativity involved, you are doing it not just for the sake of the reward or what you're going to get out of it, but that becomes a secondary thing for you. The primary aspect is that you derive some kind of contentment, inspiration, or peace out of what you're doing. That is one thing I've noticed in creativity, which I really admire. So I always knew that creativity is one of the most important qualities that a person can have. Many of us don't. Many of us ignore the aspects of our creativity, what it can offer, and why it is important within our everyday lives. That's also true. We believe that there are people who believe creativity is just for some people, and that's because it doesn't have a role in everyday life at all, in no way. That's a mistake that we we do. So probably after reading through this article, you would realize that creativity can be a part of everyday life as well. It might surprise you to know that human beings are essentially born to be creative in order to help us find innovative ways to negotiate life. We, however, are taught to work hard, study hard, and fit into society, but who encourages us to use our creativity to grow? Nobody encourages you to do that. I mean, exceptional cases, of course. I have had the experience of meeting people, being with people who encouraged creativity. They realized that there is some amount of creativity in me, and they genuinely helped me to express it, to experiment with it, to expand it, and to work with it so that it helps you to grow. I've had it, but generally we don't have people who recognize it and so they encourage us to be creative. Also, it's very rarely that we meet with people. Sometimes what happens is that you do recognize, I've seen that many times, that you do meet up people with potential who have many positives in them, but then you also recognize it if you are good at it. But the thing is that when you share it to that person, they really don't get it. Have you ever had that experience? I've had it many times. I knew that person has potential. They are good in some areas, and it's rare as well. It could be appearance, it could be personality traits, it could be sports, it could be some talents that I've been seeing in them, and I've been trying to tell them because I recognized it, but that person seemed to have no idea of what it means, what's the value of that. I've come across so many times. I'm trying to show them who they are and how they can improve that area, because it's very rare. It's an asset for them, but they don't realize it. They don't receive it at all. And I feel very sad and disappointed to see that people live with so much of potential and abilities, not ever knowing what is the value of it in this world. Because they are not planted in the right places probably, and you are trying to help them, but they don't get it. That is one area of it. The other side is, as we just mentioned, there is nobody to encourage you. There's nobody to tell you are good in this area, you are doing well in this branch of it, this is the good thing that you have. There is nobody who recognizes it, who encourages you. And because of lack of encouragement from the right people, from the right sources, they just dry out. They just live believing they're not good at something. They're just normal people. Wake up, do our stuff, go to bed, and that's it. And as you grow up, make a living, that's it. It just ends there. So some of the rarest potential that you have, some special abilities you have, you don't nurture them because there is nobody to recognize it, to encourage you, and to make you, help you grow. So that's one area of it. Both these sides are like two sides of the same coin. It's the same thing. One is lack of encouragement, because there is nobody who recognizes that you have something. There is nobody willing to encourage you because they know you have potential, but they don't want you to grow. That is also there. So all these clauses are there. Why it doesn't happen? Why people don't encourage you when you have something good? But the other side of the coin is you recognize it and you try to tell that person, and they don't receive it at all. That's also very strange. I've had the experience of both, in fact. So it's nothing rare. It happens in the world. Think about it. Whether you have ever had the experience of being in a situation where you wanted desperate encouragement and support from someone, or you just didn't seem to receive it at all, and because of that you never grew. you never nurtured your good sides, because there was nobody who ever told you that you are so good in this, you are good in that. If you work in that area, you're going to flourish. Nobody helped you. And it could be the other way. You have had the experience of finding someone who was so good in some areas, who you genuinely want them to grow. See, who doesn't want others to grow? Only bad people. There are some kind of people who don't want the others to grow because they are jealous of them and they feel, oh, they are going to do better than me. It's no good at all, and why should I bother whether they do well or not? All these wicked thoughts come to us. Only then we never encourage others. Otherwise, if you genuinely want somebody else to do good, we definitely tell them. We tell them, you are good in this. You look at this. You make a note of this point, because this is one area which is going to save you tomorrow. So if you fix your eye in this quality, it is very rare. It's a gift from God. God has given you this gift. I've had so many experiences of that, more than the other one, more than people not getting enough encouragement. I've had the experience where I have tried to bring up people whom I very closely know, telling them that I have recognized this in you and I would genuinely like to help you in whatever way I can, at least by orally supporting you, so that you can take the needful help, so you can actually value the things that God has given you. It's an asset in you, and why don't you value it? I feel really sad when people don't value the gifts that God has given them. Forget about putting it in use. They don't value it at all. It's very, very sad. So coming back to the reading part, we will not read more today, because this is the first day. Let's see how this works out. If this works out, we are going to make this a part of our routine, because I totally enjoy reading. Okay, what is creativity and why is it important in everyday life? That's a question. I'll be back tomorrow probably with something like this. If this works, we will continue this, because change is interesting. Any kind of change that we bring about in our routines, if it makes you feel better, just do it. We all want to do the best of ourselves in every area of life. So if you think it's time for you to change something, try change. Because what I am trying to do here is to push myself. That's it. I keep pushing myself so that I know the direction, but direction is not enough. You want to reach where you want to reach, so that you feel that you have not wasted the life that God has given you. That's the ultimate purpose. You have to value what God has given you. And if you keep wasting it, it's not going to help anybody, not even you. So that's the purpose why we do all this stuff that we have been doing. So I'll be back probably tomorrow with another podcast. Let's see if you can just give this a name like that. We don't know. Take care.